People, Deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for rocking with me each and every time, and thank you for allowing me to hit 13,000 subscribers, people. I mean 13,000 just for me making videos with this one little AstroTurf and cracked wall and whatnot. And man, imagine what we could do if we had some better things, but we keep building, and thank you very much. But moving on from that, people, it's a slow burner. We know it's international break, but I've come across Guendouzi, well, Deschamps kind of bigging up Guendouzi. Thought I'd throw in a little injury update and some thoughts about Arsene Wenger. He's been giving some sound bites out, people, and we might as well speak about that, man. We'll only know what happens when he comes out with his autobiography, which he said he will, people, which will be juicy in my opinion. But let's crack on. So let's start with the Wenger stuff, people. He said, my frustration in the end was that I didn't have enough time to think about football. Maybe it was because I was in a form of a model of management where I had so many things to do, but I was slowly, if I think back today, I was invaded between the time I arrived to the end. I was basically invaded by the demands that stopped me from concentrating on what is the most important part of my job. So people, we all know Wenger had his criticisms and no one's without fault. At the end of the day, people can walk away, or people at times, you look at the model that Gooner is under now, Wenger, because you're saying this, I'm not saying throughout your whole time at Arsenal, but at some point when you accepted that this could have potentially have got too much, could you have allowed these changes to happen, which could have potentially kind of weakened your stronghold on not just the footballing matters, but the elsewhere in the footballing operations in the pyramid, which is Arsenal, and accepted help? Obviously, it might not have been Raul Sanllehi, the Edus, the Husfarmis, and all of these guys, people, but could he have accepted these? We know, yes, he accepted Mislintat and some other things happened towards the end. And I don't want to say accepted because while Wenger was more than just a manager, at the end of the day, it's the Kroenke's clubs. Towards the end, he was a bit more accepting of change, or whether these changes were happening without him. So could you have done different things in that regards? But I mean, Wenger, we have him down as someone, for all of his faults, he did love the club, and I do get the feeling where he's kind of bit his tongue and been on this no snitching thing and just stayed real to the game, and the knives that get pushed in his back and deeper, for all his faults, he's just going to accept them, people. I do think if he was to really tell the truth, like I said, I don't feel everybody's without fault, but if I really feel if he talked up the things, there'll be a lot of things that will be spoken about. And for all his criticisms, I personally think some people that, away from the constructive criticisms of Wenger needed to step away from the job because he wasn't at it anymore, as much as I loved him, we all know people that went over the top and did several things, regardless of what you feel on him, they might look at him differently. Like I said, even Guendouzi, I don't back Guendouzi and trust him with as far as I can throw in, people. I don't trust Guendouzi at all. But even if he comes out, Wenger comes out, if he all talks up the things would be very different, people. And he's then gone on to say some other things. He's actually linked Arsenal to NBA, to be fair with you. He said, we've gone a little bit to the trend of the NBA. That means you look more at the athlete that is in the player than the player that is in the athlete. Overall, in the next 10 to 15 years, we'll have what I think is the next step. You'll see that many players that are top athletes now, but you think there's a dimension that is a little bit missing, the team thinking and the team attitude. In that way, they will think about the game. If he means it's getting a bit more robotic, we've already seen that, people. I mean, players are scoring more goals, but are they necessarily as entertaining? Personally, I feel, I don't know why, and I'm going off topic, but I feel there's not a shortage of top number 9s, people, but definitely growing up, there was more of a richer quality of strikers, people. Yeah, we can talk about the Henrys and all of them, but yeah, Shevchenko was lovely to watch, people. You had Raul, you had we obviously had R9, you had an abundance of Etu, you had a real base of sick number 9s, people. And I just feel, obviously there's sick number 9s and there's sick players, really. But I feel if you was to really sit down, people, and scrutinise, try and think of your top 10, maybe top 5 to top 10, not in ranking, but just name them top strikers. You can name them, but I'm sure if you was to name it back then and now, there's more of an abundance then. And I don't need to tell you about centre-halves, people. We know centre-halves, there's a real shortage in quality centre-halves. Real footballer fans understand what I mean. Idiots will say, what are you talking about, in the comments? But moving on, he's carried on and said, maybe because the pressure on the player individually has become bigger as well, and he has to think more about having an individual performance. Sometimes I watch games and I think, he's a good player, but when they play together, they don't look like a team. And then he's obviously gone on to say, people, in regards to the autobiography, he said, I will, because at some stage I think with such vast experience it is important to share what I know and what I've learned in my life. I'm tempted to do it in French because maybe I'm a bit more comfortable to express my deep feelings. So at the moment I'm working on that. I'm obviously, you don't know me, I love Arsene Wenger as a football manager and as a club. I mean, as a man, sorry, for what he's done at the club. I can accept his failures and stuff, but I'm not going to lie, people. He's a big reason as to why I love football and see football in the way I see it beyond the footballers. I cannot wait till that comes out. I love his opinions on life. I love his opinions in general. The main bit I'm going to look for is I want him to tell the realness about what happened at this club, his faults and everything. But moving on to the injury update, people, and it is a bit encouraging. We've seen allegedly Xhaka and Torreira have picked up knocks. Now, we don't know Xhaka's fitness, and hopefully Emery will shed some light as we move forward to the Watford fixture, people. But Xhaka was able to walk off, but apparently he's picked up a knock, and he said he's been playing with an Achilles sort of problem recently as well. So is it an aggravated sort of thing of that? Has he hurt that? We hope not, touch wood, because we need all our players, regardless of what you think of them. Who knows? Torreira, I'm not actually sure on Torreira's state. I just heard he picked up a knock and I typed it in on Google and it said such. Hopefully it's nothing, because I can't admit, people, I can't lie, people. I want him to start. Obviously, you want Torreira to start, but obviously it might be one of them. You see why Emery might not have been starting him so frequently, because I have seen it did look, not against Spurs so much, but it does to a degree Spurs, but it has looked when Torreira's played like he's carrying something, people. He's got a knock. Potentially he's being a warrior. We'll never know. But hopefully it's positive in the Xhaka and Torreira fronts, because we need everybody. Holding's back in full training, and I guess Emery has a tough decision. Does he use the fact that Watford have not been informed, they're rock bottom in the Premier League, new manager, turbulence at the club, does he use that as an opportunity to blood him in, or does he wait, allow him to build up fitness? And I believe after Watford we've got Europa League against Frankfurt away, use that as an opportunity to give him 60 to 90 minutes and whatnot. So I don't know what he'll do, but I just want Holding to come back, because I think he's got to learn a lot and he's still naive, but I think he's a good centre-half with potential to be an even better centre-half and be part of a spine at this team as we move forward and try and be a competitive team again. So there's him. Apparently Joe Willock will be back in regards to Watford, and he's had a little knock, so hopefully he gets through that. Apparently Tierney and Bellerin are aiming to be fit for the Man United game on the 30th of September, which I don't know if he'll blood them and play them in that, but hopefully they get back as soon as possible. And Mavropanos the same, so it looks positive. Obviously Emil Smith-Rowe looks like he's overcoming his injury things, and he did take a knock back in the last game against Derby, I believe. So I'm actually not sure of his status, but hopefully it's positive all round. Pardon me, people. Finally, and on to Deschamps. He said really not to expect too much. Not to expect too much of Guendouzi. He said, do not ask too much. He's a young player who is still in the under-21 generation, who plays a lot of matches with Arsenal where there's a lot of competition, strong competition. He's the modern midfielder, box to box. Apologies, people. Box to box, as they say, they are. With a lot of power and technical quality too. He's there. What I expect from young people is that they bring this freshness, this dynamism. He's a very young player, but with very big potential. So obviously he's a long way away from really being first name in the team sheet for Arsenal and definitely for country, but it's encouraging to see his potential. It's encouraging to hear the national team boss call you up, fair enough because of injuries, but have you on his radar for one, but kind of big you up. So this gives you the hunger, if you don't make your debut, to go back to Arsenal and play well, because you really want, you know how it felt to be part of the national team. He's played from Lorient, no disrespect to Lorient, but Arsenal and Lorient's on a different level in terms of the fans and whatnot, and that probably took him back, and he relished that. Arsenal compared to a country, any team compared to a country, national pride is a different level, so he relishes that, and obviously made his family proud. So it comes back, and he wants to, whether he wants to, there's various reasons to do well. You can potentially be an outsider for the Euro squad. I don't think he'll go to the Euros with France if everybody's fit, but at this moment in time in September, if I had to put money on it, but fingers crossed, you lot know I love Guendouzi. There's a chance of obviously being loved by fans more, and obviously earning more commercial deals with being a better footballer, just being a better footballer and whatnot, and just becoming the player that I believe he can be. Privately, my man them know how I really feel on him, but I think he can be a competent player for Arsenal and France, people. I really like Guendouzi. I know he's frustrating at times and he has to learn. He does have to improve tactically as he gets older. He can't rely on this dynamism as Deschamps has alluded to. He's got to become a bit more tactical and smarter. He's got to define what central midfielder specifically wants to be, because we've seen elements of box to box. We've seen him do deep line. He's definitely not going to be a defensive mid. He does need to improve a bit defensively. He's a good passer, and you see him get a lovely assist with Aubameyang against Spurs. He's got that in his locker. But if he's going to get into these further positions, can he get some goals? I'm not saying he has to be prolific, but can he get a goal or 5, to be fair? Can he get a couple of assists? Can he have greater impetus in that regards? Can he play that pass in Aubameyang more on a regular basis? Because I believe in Guendouzi, and you lot know me, I was watching him at Lorient, not frequently, but I was watching him. I believe in Guendouzi, and I was gassing up that pass. But for me, people, I want to look at Guendouzi in a couple of years and saying, yeah, it was a great pass, but that's the minimum. I see you play that 100 times in a game, and I don't always see that. And I'm not saying you have to do that, but it's about having that quality on your pass, that bravery on your pass, that precision in your pass, for instance, at all times. I think Guendouzi can be a quality player, but that's just me, people. I've actually missed out something moving on from Guendouzi and onto Monreal. And Monreal's given some thoughts. He said, in my head, in regards to obviously going to Sociedad, in my head for weeks there was already the possibility of coming here, and a few days ago we agreed, and here we are, he allegedly told publications. Last year, let's just say we couldn't come to an agreement because it was Unai Emery's first year. He was blunt from the first moment, saying I wasn't going, and this year the parties have been more open. Emery kept insisting that I go on, even asked me to play the derby against Spurs. So Emery wanted him to play against the derby. Like we said, first and foremost, I'll big up Monreal. At the end of the day, you have a job to do, but like we said last season, because of his age and his situation, does he want to move on? We never knew, but now we do know. He wanted to move. He could have made a fuss. He got his head down, and he played the 12 months in last season, and now he's able to do what he wants. Of course, it shocked us in regards to the timing he left, but this is something he's had. This kind of been a year in the making. If we just look at this, it's been a year or two. My maths is poor. A year or two in the making now. He's probably been thinking about this, and this season, with that in mind, it's been something that was going to happen. Like, privately, the players in the club probably knew, listen, Koscielny wants to get out of here, Monreal wants to keep it moving, this guy needs to keep it leaving, this guy needs to come in. Do you see it, people? So Monreal's been a good serviceman, and I praise him for keeping his head up and not kicking up a fuss. Big up Emery for being blunt and saying, yo, listen, you're staying for this season, I've got things to do, and there's a lot of drama at this club, we need to fix up you, we don't need to create more. So it's nice to see that he kept his head up. We've come to a resolution. He's been a good serviceman. The Monreal and Arsenal chapter is firmly closed, people. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, Koscielny didn't behave like that and handle himself with care. Obviously, we don't know the circumstances, so I'll big up Monreal for that. And yeah, man, like Monreal, I'm going to keep it stepping. I don't really have anything more to really add, people, so I'm going to get out of here. On that note, it's been a pleasure, as it normally is, people. Thank you for the 13,000 subscribers. Please like, comment, and subscribe even more. People, DG, I'm out.